Hello, this is Vaughn Clement. This application was A1 Vehicle Auction and Directory. It's been expanded now to include vehicle production, restoration, rebuilds, and a new section has been added. The original app had the auctions, auto sales scheduling for tickets and shows, a directory for automotive and other kinds of vendors for managing materials and parts that you want to manage. The new section for vehicle production, you can click on this vehicle production name or actually the icon to go to the new application. Let's go ahead and click on that now so we can go see it on the icon. The new application, what it does, and this is going to be an overview, not a complete detail description of it, it takes individual vehicles that you purchase, documents what they are, the condition they're in, and the other information as far as the body, style, and type, and the VIN and license plate and all that. So you can manage different assets, vehicles that are in your possession, especially if you're doing multiple vehicles at one time. This can be very important information. And then when you go to re-register, if you have to, you have the information from the original asset that you bought. This application, what it does, is it tracks both labor, materials, it has an inventory system, a photo lab basically down here in the corner where you can have as many pictures as you want added for each vehicle, and it will document all the restoration or rebuild that you're doing for pictures. You can have as many pictures as you want per vehicle. In this area up in here, this is the scheduling. And basically what this does is as you receive the vehicle and you have things that you want to do to the vehicle, you start a sequential numbering system by ID. In this case, we're using the individual scheduled ID for the first car in the system. And each time a new one is added, you would add the new number. For example, this is record 1, so it is 1.1, and so forth. If you add a new vehicle, it'll be 2 point whatever, and so on through all the different vehicles that you would be adding to your inventory. There's the date you start the vehicle as far as each individual task, and these are tasks that you're doing. You don't have to put the date in initially. You could just put in all the tasks that you recognize that you want to do and then go ahead and schedule them. The yellowish green fields both also have a highlighted title for each one of the fields, and basically these are buttons where you can go ahead and edit the actual information that is in that particular field and add to or change the way you feel. You would add a new text name, then type it in this space. When you click in the white area, it would add it to the list. You can go between the different things. For example, if I click this and I want to edit it, I can edit the hood. These are different work areas that you may be working on in the vehicle, and you have an infinite number you can add to this portal. So you could have a vehicle or even a motorcycle or some other vehicle that you're working on that you could have different types of work areas that you want to work on. Obviously, you could say, for example, the engine could be one of those. So you could add that. In this case, it's basically the body and trim that's in there right now. Let's go back to the production schedule. In the production schedule, you'll note that within each drop-down, that information we were just looking at is currently in there. And for example, the build task are different things that you may be doing: cut, clean, repaint, order parts, sandblast, remove paint. Any of the kind of things that you might be doing as a task that is matched to this task here. So you would create a record. Who is the kind of person that's going to be doing the work? These are the different kinds of people, and you could add whatever you want to this list by clicking on the highlighted title at the top. Same thing with your labor people. You can add as many labor people as you want. You can see their current unloaded rate as you add the person. Then as you go to the next field, you would put in there that labor rate that they're working with. And over here, this is the time in 1 hour increments. So in this case, if it's under 1 hour, in this case, if this one is 1, it would be the full rate per hour that you would put in there. So if it were 2 hours or 2.5 for an hour and a half, then that would go in there and it automatically calculates the estimated rate for that task. Down here you can put in the actual thing, like 90 minutes is 1.5 hours. If you put any type of minutes or hours, it will automatically calculate the number for this field up here for you to put it in. So that saves you having to know that. There's a summary of all the estimated labor that is in the current schedule. So as you put in your individual labor people and work through this, it will tell you what your running rate is as far as your total cost for the labor that you're planning to do. Down on this lower screen, you would match the task that you're working on and then the actual labor that it took to actually do the work. In some cases, there may be a mismatch. This is the estimated, this is the actual. So you see that the actual labor is less than the estimated. It could obviously go the other way around and be greater than instead of less than. At the end of each row, there is a button. Pressing that button takes you to, in this case, the schedule portal, where if you need to, you can delete a record, or you can read the information or edit it in this screen and then return, or you can do a find for individual records that you're looking for, either one or a group of records. You might want to do it by a whole vehicle, or you might want to just do it by the item that you're talking about in the production schedule. Like I said before, you can delete a record if it's necessary. Do not delete records in the actual portal. Always delete them in the individual portal record. The same thing goes for labor. On the labor screen, there's a place for labor notes that is not on the main portal, and then this is the labor rate. You can do a find to find any one labor rate, and when you get done, you click show all, so you bring them all back. You can cycle through them if you want to and see the individual labor rates that people have put in, doing it manually. Let's return now to the production schedule. In the production schedule, you have a labor list view, and what the labor list view does is it lists all the tasks that are being done. If you wanted to print out, say for example, all the labor that's being done on, or the estimated labor that's being done for one vehicle, all you have to do is realize that the one in this case is the first vehicle, and you can see here's the second one, number 2. So there's only 2 vehicles currently in the database. So if I went over to the number 2, you can see that this is a different record, where actually, if I go to the next record, then you can see this is the next record. And in this case, it's a Chevrolet, it's a 56, and it's going to be rotisserie rebuilt. In this case, the work is going to start, and there's nothing in there as far as the schedule. All the non-scheduled items will go to the top of the list. Then the scheduled ones will be below that, so that you know that you've got to schedule anything that's at the top. So it's sorted by the dates in this case. Okay, so you can see in this case that this is going to be a glass repair, and they're going to start out by doing a glass repair. And the labor for that was already shown, and there is still more work to be done. The install, the remove was done, but the install was not, and it's not scheduled. So you get an idea. There's also, in this application, since we're now looking at both the estimated and actual labor, there's a build list. And what a build list does is it takes all the build items that you have to do as far as parts in the production, and I just went through a list view, so I'm going to one of these. And in this case, the windshield is something you're going to need. And there's also going to be a cost for the window seals, the chrome around the window. So that is costed here, and then this is the actual windshield cost. If you had additional items, you would put those in there, and you can see the total for the bottom as you're running materials. So far we're scheduling estimated labor, we do actual labor, and then this is all the parts and materials that are going to be used. Note that the top information was brought over from the original parent record, and it carries through to this screen. You do not have to re-enter it. You also see that there's highlighted fields here where you can go up on the work area or the purchase source, and you can edit the purchase source or the windshield as far as adding a new vendor if you want to. And then there is a labor, in this case, this is the build list information screen, the portal, where you can go to either production or a list view for the items that are currently in production as far as items that need to be used in the manufacture of the vehicle. So let's go back to production again, and now I'm going to look at the scheduled list view. This is the schedule list view for all the vehicles that are in the app. So there's 2 current vehicles. If you want to move to one or the other, and also if you had many of them in there, this is where you would come to see them. So now let's go ahead and look at the portal for the pictures. Like I said, you can paste directly in by using the insert method by clicking on it or tapping on it on the iPad. It gives you the size of the image so you know if you're going to load fast or slow. Anything under 400 kilobytes should load fairly fast on the iPad. If these are going to be used on the iPad, you do not want to go above 400 kilobytes. It's just too slow loading them on the iPad. So let's go look at the actual input screen. In this case, you can see that I'm looking at the vehicle picture in a larger view, and I can cycle down through the pictures to see the next view. The quality of the image is as good as you use to take the picture. If you keep the picture small, in this case where it's only under 60 kilobytes, you will see some degradation in the actual image. If you go above that, say to 100 to 200, it will improve the quality of the image. Let's go back to the main screen again and then back over to the build list. On the build list, you're going to notice that on this side there is an inventory information screen. On the inventory information screen, it actually shows you the items, not for this vehicle, but all inventory items that are listed in the inventory. And right now there's only 4 of them included for the sample records. You can see there's the window trim for the windshield for the 56. There's a hood, chrome hood latch and stuff for the 40. And then another windshield attachment for the windshield itself. Let's go ahead and look at the windshield itself. And you'll see when you open this screen, it shows you an expanded view so you can see the item. We now are in the actual information for the inventory where it's added here. If you're adding a new product that's going to be used on a vehicle and it's not in inventory, you need to add a new record by coming up here and clicking the item and then adding it. In this case, we're adding it for every one of the items that are going into the vehicle. And this side is the purchase area, where as you're going out to a vendor and providing the actual item that is going into inventory to be used, or other materials that are just consumables, you would still add those into inventory so you can use them in the process of doing work on the vehicle. So here also it will total, every time this item is purchased, it will give you a purchase record. So if you're doing multiple buys for things that you're using as consumables but yet are going into the restoration, they will be in the inventory so you can use them and show how much of it is you're using and the cost of it. So now we've covered labor estimate, labor actual, the build list, and now the inventory, and now purchasing. So you can see all the aspects of this process going on. Let's go back to the build list schedule, and then you can see that if you want to do a search in here, you would start by clicking this. It'll put a question mark in all the fields, and then once you type something in and hit the do find, it'll automatically go find those records that match either one or more. Okay, this has been a walkthrough of the new part of the renovation or production side of the new auction app. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please contact me as to the details of how this app functions, or if you have questions. Thank you.